Hey guys, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Hey, where is Sandal? Okay. Ajay, you missed the last week classes, right? I uploaded all the recordings till Saturday, till Friday, last week. Just go through that recordings first, okay?
Yeah, I'll go through them, Krishna.
If you have any doubts, let me know. We'll discuss. Let me share my screen. Okay. So yesterday we discussed about the Azure application gateway. The application gateway is working on layer number 7. At the URL based, we can able to routing the traffic to the backend pools. The backend pools is might be have any applications are hosted on that particular backend pools. We can able to manage the high availability and security of that servers in the backend. So yesterday we saw that right, how the traffic and routing to the specific uh, backend pools based on the URL. Okay. So mostly application gateways are using in a regional wise applications. For example, if you are using any applications within the specific region, like South India or in, East India, something like that. Which region, if you want to able to use it, generally we are go with that. If it's a if you go with the front door, is also doing the same process, but is a global service. We are able to, you know, if your application is connecting entire globally you have users to connect that application. So you want to maintain that zero latency to connect that application, you can go with the front door. So there is a only a major difference between the front door and um, application gateway. Apart from that, both services are same. Application gateway is a regional wise, front door is a global service. That is a major difference between these two. Okay. So today we are going to discuss about the Azure firewall. What is meaning of firewall? What it will do? Generally firewall. We have so many firewalls, right? What exactly the firewall do? Any idea? Hmm?
It's a type of security.
Type of security. Okay. So type of security means like it is going to provide a security physically or how it is going to be. Security means what is
Not
the
the
meaning?
physically.
Okay. It is going to what's security is a that is correct.
Monitoring the incoming traffic.
Exactly. Both incoming and outgoing. You can able to control with the firewall. It is going to inspect each and every request comes in come into your network. It is going to be monitor that particular request which are going to enter into your. It's a security guard, just like a security guard. Firewall is nothing but a security guard. So he's going to monitor each and everything who are trying to get into your house who are trying to get out from your house. He's monitoring everything. And he control the traffic. If it is any unauthorized access trying to enter into your house, he stopped. The same way, if any unauthorized process are trying to go out from your house, it is going to be controlled. So just is a gatekeeper. Firewall is nothing but a gatekeeper. Clear? We have so many firewalls in on-premises also. We have so many firewalls like Palo Alto, Cisco firewalls. Many firewalls are there in the market. Okay, Checkmate. So many firewall tools are there in the market, and most of them are in a cloud on-premises based physical setup. We have it. The same way, Azure also provide a firewall service. Here is a firewall service. It's not a physical one. It's a firewall service which can able to firewall service is maintained by Microsoft, but we are going to use that service in order to control your traffic. So the physical setup of your firewall and that software and underlying servers, everything is maintained by Microsoft. Only we are going to use that service. It's this type of service we can call as a platform as a service model. Platform as a service, the underlying platform, where exactly are going to, we require some server under the top of server, we installed that firewall related softwares and everything. And that maintenance of that physical servers or virtual machines and the top of that softwares, whatever you installed, whatever the Microsoft installed. So that entire setup is maintained by Microsoft. Only we are using that service. Okay, I want firewall to set up this. Okay, I can go and do it. For example, you need a tap in your pipe, your pipe to control your water. Tap is like, the creation of tap is not done by ourselves. We are just using that. The tap is already manufactured by some company. You can get that and fix it to your pipe. We are using that service. Okay. We are not manufacturing any taps to control the water. Okay. The firewall is also the same. Is Azure is providing the firewall as a service. Okay. It is going to control the different type of traffics can come to your network. It might be an HTTP request and IP-based service requests are coming to your network, right? It is going to be control any type of service, any type of traffic. It is going to be control. One second, please. Okay. You can see managed network security service that protects your Azure virtual network resources. So you have a service like, I told you, right? Let me open our white pad. Okay. So if you have a network, okay. So you have multiple subnets here. Okay. So the firewall is a service it's standing here to control the traffic for your entire network. So whatever the traffic come from your to your network, any type of traffic like HTTP or HTTPS traffic. For example, you have an application, so you'll receive HTTP or HTTPS request topics traffic, or TCP traffic like IP address, IP based, some DNS URL based. Okay, different type of services, like a different type of traffics are trying to access your network, because based on your what type of services you are used in this network, we are getting different type of request come to your firewall. So firewall is trying to review all your request. Is it a genuine request or not? If it's a genuine request, it is allow the traffic to connect to your services. If it's any malicious, like any suspected traffic is coming to the your network, it is going to be blocked here. That is the purpose of firewall. The same way, if you have a server, you log into the server, okay, and you're trying to access some websites to the internet. So that traffic also go through internet, the firewall only. So we can control the outbound traffic also. By default, there is no control to your outbound. I log into the server, I can directly connect to the internet. There is no block by default. But I want to control, for example, you're an office network. So you cannot connect all the networks, all the websites, right? From your office laptop. Some of the websites are blocked. Is it true? Yes or no?
Yes.
So you cannot connect the same website through your laptop, your personal laptop, but you cannot connect all the websites from your office laptop, right? Why? Because they are trying to
Yes.
control your outbound traffic. So how they are going to control? To the help of firewall. We can control the traffic like any type of ports you want to, allow the traffic at the port level, or you want to block any ports, anything. So NSG also, network security group, we already discussed, right? Do you remember? Network security group,
Yes, sir.
application security group. You heard about it, these words.
Yes, Krishna.
So network
Yes.
security group also can control the traffic. We can block the ports. We can allow the ports. We can allow the IP based traffic. We can do that. So NSGs also can do the blocking as like us firewall. But NSGs we can implement on the subnet level, not on the network level. But firewalls can implement on the entire network level. And not only that, you can control the traffic. NSGs are only control the traffic, because 99% everyone asks in interviews, such what's the difference between NSGs and the firewall? Both are doing the controlling the traffic only. But what is the difference between this? So NSGs are network security group, is a service, is provided by Microsoft, is a free service. It can control the traffic like a port level traffic, and IP based traffic can control with the NSG. But URL based traffic cannot control, or like HTTP, HTTPS. These traffic cannot controlled by through NSGs. And NSGs are implemented on the subnet level or NIC level or server level. You mean say. Whereas firewalls are controlled through entire network. Clear? And apart from that, the firewall have so many other features like threat intelligent. So NSGs are not controlled any malicious traffic is enter into your network. NSGs are cannot control that those type of traffics which are hackers are trying to access your network. So NSG is not in an intelligent service. It is cannot control that type of traffic. It is allow the traffic because hackers are trying to do that, like, the duplicate lines. But for example, NSG, we have a rule called we can allow the traffic from 10.0.0.4 to something, some IP address 10.0.5.4, something like that. So this rule is already allow the traffic. But sometimes, attacker or malicious attacker, like, your hacker, it is look like your request is exactly the same, what you are allowed to do that. So NSGs allow the traffic. It is not it is not intelligent service to identify which is the correct service. It's a genuine service, which is the fake request which we got to enter into our network. So NSGs cannot control that type of network, the type of traffic. Whereas firewalls can are a very intelligent service. It can identify the traffic is it real traffic or require genuine request is come trying to enter into our network, or it's any any attacks or malicious attacks are happened to your network. It is going to identify that. That intelligence is there in a Azure firewall. Okay. So the only advantage is like if within the mostly NSGs are using to control the traffic within the subnets mostly. But whereas entire network levels control the traffic through which come from the internet, we will go with the firewalls. Clear, guys? Has some idea?
Yes,
Okay.
sir, it's clear.
So you can see Azure firewall is a highly available and unrestricted scalable. So I told you that Azure firewall is protect your Azure virtual network services resources, and it is highly available and unrestricted scalable. So this firewall is maintained by Microsoft only. Only we are using as a service. Okay. So if anything happen, like, your uh, just like see, you have one firewall to protect your network. So what the hackers are doing, right? So they try to attack your network. They may send a request like 1 lakh request at a time or 2 lakhs request at a time. So how your firewall can control it? So that is the strategy they followed, like SQL injections. Uh, uh, we have some other types of uh, cross toggling. So different options are there. They have different techniques to attack your network, right? So they send like, lakhs of requests at a time, which your service cannot control that. For example, if your house, like, so you have a gatekeeper is here. So one person is trying to enter into your house. This guy can control it. Can you imagine 1,000 people are coming to the same time? This guy can control it or not? It is not possible, right? So exactly the hackers are doing the same. At a time, 1,000 people are trying to get into your house. This one guy cannot control it. Okay. They'll automatically enter into your house. The same way, here the hackers are trying this technique to trying to enter into network to lakhs of requests are at a time they're going to send it to your firewall. The firewall is unable to control that. So then they're allowed to get into the network and take a control. So, but in Azure firewall has a high availability capacity, like, whenever is required, multiple virtual firewalls will be created based on your traffic. Keep on increasing it, highly available based on your traffic. Okay, just like a Lord Krishna, right? Is keep on whenever is required, is multiple Krishnas are available. In movies also we saw that, right? Same way. Whenever is not required, vanish. That's it. So the requests are coming to your network, the firewalls will be increased automatically. So the traffic is reduced, the firewalls, one firewall will be there, all rest of them are slowly reduced based on the traffic. This is called high availability. We can call it as a scalability. Okay. So this is a statement like unrestricted scalable. We can increase n number of firewalls depends on your requirement. Automatically it will create it, automatically it will be deleted whenever it is not required. Okay. Fully integrated with Azure Monitor for logging and analytics. So we can able to, how do we know that your something is happened on your network? Someone is trying to attack your network. So the alert mechanism will be there. So Azure Monitor is another service we will discuss later. So we can integrate our Azure firewall with Azure Monitor. So whenever someone is trying to attack and we are getting alerts to the responsible like we have operations team and all, right? So they are receiving alerts. Okay, so most of the times you are getting alerts because of something happened, where server shut down or where network is impacted, anything like that, we are receiving some alerts, right? So the same way the firewall also, it is fully integrated with our Azure Monitor tool. It will generate the alerts whenever is required. If something happened on your network, if someone is trying to attack or someone is trying to unauthorized access to your network, or someone is trying to access, sometimes you are trying to access some restricted websites from your office laptop. You'll get a email from the security team. So how they are going to get that? Because they are going to integrate that firewall with the alert mechanism, monitoring mechanism. So immediately, whenever you try to any wrong or unauthorized, restricted web browser or anything which is not as per the policies your company, like you are going to go beyond that, definitely will receive some alerts. Some alerts will be generated and assigned to you. Okay. So you can see here, firewall is just like NSGs. Okay. Your Azure firewall rules can apply inbound and outbound access. So NSGs also we can use inbound and outbound traffic. We can control NSGs. I told you that NSGs, we have some limited, exposure and a limited, they have a not intelligent service which is offered by Microsoft. We can use this service as a free of cost NSGs. Whereas you can see Azure firewall goes from a OSI layer 3 to 7. I told you that we have network layers from 0 to 7, right? 1 to 7. So 7 layers, but NSGs you can see only working on layer number 4. Whereas firewall can work from layer number 3 to layer number 7. So almost all type of traffics, like is in a IP-based traffic or it's in a HTTP traffic or any type of traffic can control through the firewall. Whereas NSGs, we can control the only traffic on layer number 4. That means IP-based. Layer number 4 is nothing but our transport layer, that is called IP-based. The traffic is going as a packets. Okay, that packets are IP-based. If you're trying to access from one one IP to another IP service, right? No, that traffic can control through energy. But whereas it cannot control the traffic like HTTP, HTTPS traffics or all these things they cannot control. Okay. Firewalls can also deal with the DNS names as well as the ports, protocols, and IP addresses. So firewall can do everything. It can be control the protocols and ports, IP address based DNS name services, DS name based traffic like HTTP, HTTPS, right? Any type of traffic can control through firewall. So Azure firewall can function as a hybrid cloud. So what is meaning of hybrid cloud? So you're an office in a hybrid model. What does that mean that? So we are in hybrid model, right? What is the meaning of hybrid model?
Twice in a week, thrice in a week, we need to go to office.
So thrice in a or twice in a week to go to office. So 2 days at work from home, 3 days I'll go to office. This is hybrid model, right? So in cloud also we have hybrid cloud. It is not, that means we already discussed in first class. Okay. So we have a on-premises data center and we have cloud also. Some servers are here in the on-premises data center. Some servers are available or services are using cloud. So these two are connected. Okay. So this we can call it as hybrid model. How these two are connected, we'll discuss. Okay. So it's a big process. We need to integrate with that. So we can control in a single firewall can control the traffic which come from the on-premises and cloud also. In a single firewall can control both the, if you are in a hybrid model, the single firewall can manage the traffic for your on-premises servers as well as your cloud servers or services. Okay, that we can control it. So Azure can function in a hybrid cloud. All traffic that goes from your Azure infrastructure to on-premises has to go through the firewall network. So you can control the traffic, like, whatever the services are trying to on-premises network, you can that will go through the firewall only. Whoever is trying to connect to the Azure services, the traffic also go through the Azure firewall. Whoever is trying to connect internet, that traffic also go through the firewall. So completely any incoming or outgoing traffic can be maintained by firewall, even though your services or your servers or some services are on premises as well as cloud. Okay. Azure firewall uses a static assigned public IP address. Definitely we know that, right? Because definitely it is required a dedicated public IP address. So definitely, because it is, if you are receiving any request from internet, obviously we required public IP. We already discussed many times, right? The same application gateway is required public IP. Load balancer required public IP. Because whatever the service which are trying to receive a request from internet, it should have a public IP. There is no other choice. Without public IP, you cannot receive any request from internet. That is a default funda. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now you can see here, we have one more service like Azure Firewall Manager service also there. It is just like a firewall only, but we have some just like a dashboard. You know, if you have multiple networks, you can see here we have this network. We have another network. We have another network. So this is in like so we have an office like um, one one office in US, one office in Australia, one office in India. Okay, so you are using one firewall for to control the traffic for your US office network, and the same way for your India office network and Australia office network. So these are the three firewalls are set up. But if you want to control, like we can try to log into this this particular firewall, and if you monitor anything or check anything, in the same way you can do the same thing for rest of the firewalls. But Azure Manager, Firewall Manager, it is not required to connect to the each and every firewall separately. So all these three firewalls can be managed through the Azure Firewall Manager. It's a single dashboard, can connect all your firewalls which are used for different networks. Okay, so you can control your, you can you can monitor your firewalls. You are trying to connect your firewalls through the Azure Firewall Manager. It's a single centralized monitoring dashboard where we can control the multiple firewalls. That will help. So no need to log into the individual firewalls if you have multiple firewalls in our different regions. You can see here. Centrally manage Azure firewalls across multiple subscriptions. Rule sets can be shared across multiple Azure firewall instances. So if, for example, you create one rule. Okay, for example, google.com cannot be accessed. That is a rule, for example, you written in firewall. So you can implement the same rule for all firewalls from Azure Firewall Manager. It's not required to write the same rule on this firewall, on this firewall, on this firewall. It is not required. So single rule can be applicable to the multiple firewalls through the Azure Firewall Manager. That's what he mentioned here. So that is the advantage. We can share the same rule to the multiple firewalls through the Azure Firewall Manager. No need to write the same rule for example, you want to implement the same rule for all your divisions, right? All your offices, wherever it is, which we have multiple firewalls. If you want to implement single rule, can be implemented. Can integrate with the third-party services. You can see. So that is another beautiful advantage we have in Azure Firewall. That is, you can integrate. For example, some customers they have a on-premises setup. They are using different uh, firewalls like Zscaler, iBoss, okay, Checkmate, Checkpoint. So these are the different on-premises firewalls are there. Okay, so now the customer is planning to create a hybrid network. So they want to use some services from cloud. Okay, so these Zscaler or Checkpoint, they cannot control the traffic which are go through the cloud. Okay, so Azure Firewall, if we are going to use Azure Firewall for cloud services, but what will happen, right? So this Zscaler or any checkpoint, these are the services can be integrated to your Azure Firewall. So the traffic which are controlled here by Zscaler, so Zscaler services also integrated connected to your Azure Firewall. So the traffic come out from this Zscaler and then it will go to the Azure firewall, then go out. So the same way, the cloud is services, the traffic is controlled by firewall. So that is integration can be happened. So not required to separately monitor JScaler, not required to separately monitor your Azure firewall. We can do that. Clear?
Yes,
And
sir.
can be integrated with virtual WAN concept also. So we have one more topic called WAN. We'll discuss later. It's not required as of now. So we can use Azure firewall for WAN concept network model also. So we'll discuss that one later. Okay. Um, this is the overall information about the firewalls, especially. Okay. So you can see what type of rules we can create in firewalls. We can create three types of firewalls rules, especially in a firewall. That is called application rules, network rules, DNAT rules. What are these things? Okay. Application rules, nothing but if you want to control any websites, any HTTP or HTTPS traffic. For example, I have a network. I have one server here. I'm trying to access google.com. Okay. But as per our company policy, there is no access for google.com. How to control this traffic? So for that, anything like that, I want to block anything like google.com, I want to block it. msn.com, I want to block it. I want to block .com websites, everything. Like, for example, porn sites. So we are blocking all porn sites. Okay, how we are going to block it? We cannot block each and everything. So we are going to take a header of that particular porn site and we can block all websites which are having a content like this. We can block everything. So those type of rules we can implement through the application rules. You can see configure fully qualified domain names, FQDN names. You can call it as FQDN names. Can be accessed from your subnet. For example, specify the Windows update network traffic through the firewall. So any rules which are going to control like an HTTPS based, we can write that rules in the application rules. So network rules is nothing but only the traffic with like network security groups or like IP based traffic we can control through the under network rules. Okay, non-HTTP and HTTPS. You can see. So what are the non-HTTP and HTTPS? Nothing but a IP based. Any IP based traffic you want to control. Okay, for example, um, so you have a server and it is called 10.0.0.4 cannot access some server which is 11.15.10.0. We can control the traffic. NSG also do the same thing, right? We can control the traffic from one server to another server based on IP address. Okay. So, for example, I don't want to allow the traffic from this subnet to this subnet. We can control the traffic. Okay. So these type of traffics based on IP based. For example, this is 10.0.0.0/24. This is 10. 1.0.0/24. So I don't want to allow the traffic between these two subnets. We can control. So these type of traffics comes under the network rules. Okay. So another one is the DNAT rules. Okay. What is the DNAT? Destination Network Address Translation. Destination Network Address Translation. So what is the meaning of this? For example, you have a server here. I want to connect this server. For example, you want to allow the traffic for this server. This server have private IP. Okay. So definitely private IP we cannot connect through the internet. Okay. This is in a network. The network, this is our subnet. Okay. So I'm trying to access this server from my laptop. Okay. Here we have a firewall. So we can write a rule here. Whatever the request come for specific server, or you can create any type. Okay. So someone is trying to access for specific IPs or anything like that. Someone is trying to access this server. What it will do? This firewall can connect backend to this server with the help of DNAT rule. So we are going to, we can create a rule like this. For example, the customer does not aware of the what is the IP address of the server. Customer is only aware of the what is the IP address of the firewall. Okay. For example, firewall have a IP address called 20.15.45.20. For example, this is the public IP of our firewall. So if you want to allow the traffic to this server, what we are going to do? We are going to create one DNAT rule saying that if someone is trying to access this 20.15.45.5, this is the IP address of the firewall, can convert it to backend IP address of this one 10.0.0.4. For example, I want to take RDP. I sent a request to connect this server. That is my agenda. So I don't know what is IP address of this one. But if you have a written a code, some rule like a DNAT rule, I try to access this firewall. Okay. Take RDP. So it will connect it to the backend server, this one. So customer is not aware of what is the IP address of this server. Only he knows the IP address of this firewall. So this is the, if you don't want to expose your server publicly, and but you want to give some RDP or some request to connect outside the network. You can use the DNAT rules. So tomorrow I will show you how to do that. Okay. What is DNAT rules? Best I will give the overview and theoretical part, how this different type of options are available and all these things. Tomorrow we will practically implement that, all these rules, and then we can implement it. Okay. So translate the filter inbound traffic to your subnet. So translate your firewall public IP and port it to the private IP and port. So I told you that we can automatically, if you written any rule like DNAT rule, so destination address translator, it will translate your IP from public to private of this particular server, which are connected to your firewall. Okay. So these are the requirement will come definitely with some, you have multiple departments or multiple offices in somewhere, and we have a business to some third party to teams, like third party or vendors are there. They need an access to the specific server on your network. So how they are going to connect your server from their network? So they definitely reach to your firewall. So firewall should allow the traffic to connect the server, but they don't want to expose this IP at all to the internet. So the DNAT rule will help to translate whoever is trying to access this firewall IP, it will convert it to the backend IP as a private IP. We will discuss tomorrow. You can understand that. Okay. So this is the um, different options we have in the firewall rules. What type of firewalls rules we have it? Okay. So tomorrow we'll do this demo, like because it will take firewall uh, implementation is it will take some time. But you need to remember two things here. One is the firewall is required a public IP, static public IP, and firewall required as dedicated subnet. So yesterday, day before yesterday also application gateway that is also required a specific separate subnet is required. The same way firewall also required a separate subnet. But application gateway you can give any name, but it is required as dedicated subnet. But the name is not constrained here. You can give any name. But whereas firewall, the subnet name is exactly the same. Firewall, Azure, A capital, F capital, S capital. It has to be like this. Azure Firewall subnet. You need to give this name like this. You want to deploy a firewall. Otherwise, it won't take it. Clear? It's a dedicated subnet is required with exact the name called Azure Firewall subnet. A capital, F capital, S capital. That's it. Clear?
Yes, sir. But
Yeah.
this firewall is above the subnet, right? Means
Above the, yeah,
above the network.
above the network. You can control, see, the meaning of above the network means you can control the traffic to entire our network, not
Okay.
on the subnet level. So
Mm.
subnet level, you can use the NSGs.
Mm.
So if you go to real time, you are using firewall and NSGs also. So people are
Mm.
confusing why we have a firewall, why we require NSGs. So NSGs are we are going to use to control the traffic within the subnet. Like for example, this subnet to this subnet, I want to something. Okay. These NSGs are not used for external outside the network. Okay. Within the network. Okay. This server to this by default, for example, you have two subnets. This server to this server, I want to control the traffic. Then you need to use the NSGs. Okay. So NSGs can be implemented on your subnet level. We can do that. But firewalls are, it is control the entire network traffic. Okay. So basically it is help to control the traffic from in and out from internet or any outside the networks. Okay. NSGs are within the network. Clear?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Yeah. So firewall is gatekeeper here. Any internet request, any internet to go out. Okay. Firewall will help to control it, everything. Or any other network, we can control the traffic. So everything is in a network level. Whereas NSGs are here. Within the subnet or within the server, we can control. Clear?
Yes, yes.
That is the difference. Okay. Okay, so tomorrow we'll try to implement this firewall. Let's see how this firewall can help to control the traffic, and we'll see. Okay. Any doubts, guys? You can ask. We have another 6 minutes of time. Any doubts? Any clarity? What?
Yes, on-prem we are having Zscaler and all right now.
Hmm.
Firewall. Why we want to connect this for cloud firewall?
So you want to control that a single service can use to all traffic. Okay. So for example, you are not connected to the your Zscaler to Azure firewall. You have to separately monitor your Zscaler, right? Clear? You need to use Azure firewall for cloud services, Zscaler for on-premises. You require to monitor both, right? Because two
Means
different
for cloud services also it will monitor internet, right? For Zscaler also it will monitor internet
internet only, but
traffic.
that is on-premises services.
Oh,
This is the cloud services.
okay. Means
Got
if
it?
we get any request from the cloud means cloud service will be monitored. Huh?
Yes.
Means Zscaler cannot be monitored, but cloud will be. In cloud firewall will help to monitor the traffic.
Yes.
Okay.
Because sometimes what happened, right? See, for example, some networks, I am a customer. I already have a on-premises setup. Okay. So I used Zscaler in my network to control the traffic. Okay. So after some days, now I want to upgrade myself. I want to use some services from cloud also. Okay. So then I move to the cloud. I want to integrate our cloud on-premises to cloud services. Either some service can can connect to your on-premises server to the cloud. Okay. Or some cloud servers are connected to our on-premises. So it's a hybrid model if you have it. So they already have a Zscaler which are controlling our on-premises servers. Okay. So we are using Azure firewall in a cloud services. So the problem is here we need to monitor both the services. We are monitoring it is a separate alerts are maintaining for Zscaler, separate alerts are maintaining for firewall. So it's a big task, right? The people who are going to working on an operational side, they need to monitor both. Okay. It's a big task. Instead of that, Zscaler is already there. You want to control the traffic through the firewall, you can integrate with that. So that is the best option we have.
Sorry, understood.
Okay. Otherwise, in future, if they don't want to, some people are very strict to the Zscaler, they are still are using, they want to use control for their on-premises services through the Zscaler only. So that is depends, they have their own control. Okay. So any mission critical, they don't want to, because Azure firewall is a service, right? So the underlying servers are maintained by Microsoft. You got the point? So we don't have any control those servers. Wherever Azure firewall is running, we don't have any choice to connect and monitor. See, you can any cyber attacks, many cyber attacks are there. So some of the mission critical data are going to put into our servers, right? So for example, vaccine, corona vaccine that time. So a lot of high cyber attacks have happened because they want to grab their formulas. It's very, very critical, right? Very, very highly critical, mission critical data is there in the servers. So if you try to control the traffic through the Azure firewall, we don't know, right? The servers are maintained by Microsoft. Anything can happen. But if you have your own servers are maintained by your firewall, physical firewalls are there, which is completely controlled by yourself, definitely that is have an advantage, right?
Yeah, of course.
More security. Yeah, that is the thing. So it depends, on how the people can.
Okay,
Clear?
clear.
Okay. Okay, guys. See you tomorrow. Bye. Bye for today.
Thank you.
Thank you.